I feel the spirit moving in me. I feel the spirit moving in me.
There's a beautiful poem by Rumi, Out Beyond Ideas of Right and Wrong. Don't know if you're familiar with it, but there are a lot of different musical versions of this, so I decided to make one of my own. Out beyond ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. When the soul lies down on the grass, the world's too full to talk about. When the soul lies down on the grass, the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Ideas and language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Out beyond ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there.
Think of a time when you fell into ecstasy. Can you think of one? What is one? Something you can say in public. Wow. Kathleen shared that it was a time that she realized that she wasn't alone, that she always had love, had a partner, had prosperity. In a sense, you're kind of realizing that you're one with the allness, right? So think about a time that you felt ecstasy, when you just felt this energy of love and light and power rushing in your mind, your body, and your spirit. Do you all have one? One person says yes. I know there's more of you. I mean, I'm not gonna ask anybody else, right, to say what it was, because I know that might be going into frightful territory. But just think of a time that you felt that ecstasy, where you felt so connected, where you felt so exuberant, where you felt so powerful, where you felt so loved. So just reflect on that for a moment. Earlier this week, when I was preparing myself to write this talk, I had an idea where I wanted to go with it. And before I started writing it, I decided to play my ukulele a little bit, which is often a great way to start the day. And I wanted to play some new songs. I have about 7 songs I wanted to learn. And I was working with my computer and the software, trying to figure out how to get this music into my phone so I could play it wherever I am. And my phone and my computer and I were having an argument, right? And I have to say, I was attached to it, right? Because it was like, this is going to get me in the mood. And so I wasn't in the mood. To put it lightly, I didn't destroy anything, but I was pretty bummed, right? And so I took out my book of Rumi poems, and I started looking through the book of Rumi poems, and it's like, wow, he's talking about ecstasy. He's talking about love. He's talking about being one with the beloved, with the infinite. And I get this, I get it now. This like goosebumpy like feeling like, wow, this is what I need to talk about and not the other subject that I had in mind. That might be a talk for another day. I went through and I wrote an outline for that whole talk, had it all figured out, but I wanted to go to ecstasy today, right? So I'm hoping that you do too. So I'm going to read some excerpts from 6 different Rumi poems and then talk about what they mean to the translators, what they mean to me, and hopefully you'll discover what they mean for you as well. So this talk is titled "Falling into Ecstasy with Rumi." The first poem we're going to look at today is called "The Beloved Longs to Be Close." Rumi writes, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 100 times, come, come again, come." He goes on to say, "The remedy for your pain is in your heart's openness, not in closing. Shed the coolness of day and embrace the ecstasy of night. Come, sit by this red fire and warm the nights of your life. Warm the nights of your life." In this poem, Rumi invites us to come on his caravan, right? And I can picture Rumi traveling across the desert in a caravan, and he's saying, come onto this caravan. Come with me. Let's celebrate the joys of the beloved, and let us celebrate life together. He talks about whirling in ecstasy. He says that our healing will come when we open our hearts, right? Haven't you noticed? That is, when our hearts are open, that we're open to the expression and the fullness of spirit, of life, of love, and of ecstasy. He says, come, join the caravan. Come with us. Let's enjoy the spiritual connection that we have together. Come, be open to joy, to love. Writing poetry and dancing served as portals, I believe, to the euphoric self-expression of Rumi, whirling in ecstasy, nourished by sacred music. Rumi dissolved into the eternal dance of life. He was transformed by ecstasy. And he invites us into that place where we can experience that ecstasy within our own beings. We too can unlock our creativity, our love, our real life, our essence, when we are intoxicated with the beloved. Rumi reminds us to fall into ecstasy when we open ourselves to love. And I created an affirmation for each of these poems. And this one is, I fall into ecstasy as I open myself to love. Say that with me. I fall into ecstasy as I open myself to love. And feel that. The second poem is called Cultivating Passion for the Divine. Rumi writes, with passion, praise God, with sweet poetry and gifts. Bear your sorrow on the breath of dawn. Wean your wanting from worldly wish. Quicken your heart to serve alone, and give this life to the beloved. With passion, pray. With passion, work. With passion, eat and drink and dance and play. With passion, live the gifts God gave you. He goes on to say, with passion, celebrate in wonder each breath, and do not go back to sleep. The beloved lives inside your every step. With passion, bathe, swirl, soak forever in God's gaze. With passion, have courage to roast in his loving fire. In this poem, Rumi invites us to have a fiery passion for the beloved, a fiery passion for God, to find devotion in all things, and to really lend ourselves into, turn ourselves over into the beloved. He advocates embracing every experience as an act of praise and prayer. What if everything that you do is a prayer? To think that everything you say, everything you speak, every emotion is a prayer that you're speaking out into the world, out into the universe. Rumi reminds us that the beloved lives here, within inside of us, and that we can passionately bathe in God when we open to God's presence and let this presence be absorbed by our every thought, by our every feeling, by our every moment. I fall into ecstasy as I express my divine, or as I express my passion for the divine. Say this with me. I fall into ecstasy as I express my passion for the divine. This is one of my favorite poems. It's titled, With Each Breath. With each breath, breathe in the gladness. Do not fixate on doom. Send out good cheer to friend and enemy alike. Do what you do for the one. With each breath, confirm, I am the face of God. I am the force of God. I am the heart of God. In everything I experience, God is there. In this poem, Ladinsky, who translated all of these poems I'm talking about today, talks about God being present everywhere, and that our opportunity is to open ourselves to that presence wherever we are, to remember that is who we are, wherever we are, whatever we're doing, to breathe into that, knowing that we are, you are, I am that presence, that the divine is in everything. He says, with each breath, we can remember that we are expressions of God's joy, God's force, God's heart. This poetic passage conveys living with ecstatic wisdom that we have access to as we turn within. I fall into ecstasy as I breathe the presence of the divine. And so before we say this together, I invite you to take a breath and breathe it. And then let's say together, I fall into ecstasy as I breathe the presence of the divine. And this poem is, I danced with my soul. I danced with my soul. Lovers said, we danced until we were exhausted. We surrendered our egos to love until we became one with the rhythm of the universe. I danced with my soul. I am no longer the singer or the song. I am the ecstatic creation itself. No mind, no body, only a voice that dances to the vibrations of love. I have become everything I sought. Only then do I realize that I have known this forever, but simply forgot. In this poem, Rumi speaks about the ecstatic transformation of the self that comes through surrendering to love's wisdom, to surrendering to the vibration of the presence that's within us and within everything in the universe. He invites us to move beyond body. He invites us to move beyond mind into that inner sanctum, into that place where we experience that oneness. Rumi says that the true spiritual path is that place where we discover ecstasy, where we discover that presence of God within us, that love within us, that desire within us. I fall into ecstasy as I dance with my soul. Let's say this together. I fall into ecstasy as I dance with my soul. And this poem is titled, Let the Beauty We Love. Rumi writes, let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to go home again. He goes on, let the beauty we love. We wave goodbye to what we have made. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Light shines through the windows saying, leave now and ride the ecstatic call of your pure, wild belonging. Dear one, why wait any longer? There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. This poem is kind of lyrical and beautifully captures the spirit of living ecstatically, recognizing the beauty in everything. Imagine being that feeling that, experiencing that, to just pay attention to the beauty. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, find beauty. Easy to get caught up in news or YouTube videos or stuff that's going on in the world that can sometimes pollute our thinking. But what if we change the frame and change our perspective to see beauty everywhere? To, when we look upon people, to see their beauty, not their flaws. When we do work, to do it with love, to see the beauty in it and not focus on the difficulty or the hardship, but to see the beauty in everything that we are doing. And how about when we look in the mirror, to see the beauty that we are, instead of focusing on the brown spots or the bumps or the loss of hair that we have or the color of our hair that isn't what it used to be, but instead focus on the beauty that you are. Can you feel the difference? You're smiling, and we know this is true, and we all do this, right? We wake up in the morning and we walk in the bathroom and we look in the mirror and we go, oh my God, that's not the person that I went to bed with last night. But what if we just really I love you, right? I love you in spite of your spots and your bumps and your scrapes and your calluses. Just to see the beauty in every moment. I fall into ecstasy as I recognize beauty everywhere. And then you say it this time, think about that. Think about planting that in your spirit, in your heart. And let's say it together. I fall into ecstasy as I recognize beauty everywhere. What a wonderful lesson. And the last poem is titled Falling into Ecstasy. Kind of where I got the idea for this topic, this talk. Rumi writes, weave with every thread of your being ecstasy into your ordinary life. Work, love, play, imagine with mind, heart, body, soul. Imagine weaving ecstasy into everything you do, to be showing up. Imagine when you walk out of the room that people say, wow, that was ecstatic, right? That was ecstasy. Falling into ecstasy. This talk is about just falling into life. And I love the image of falling, just like letting go and just being present, just being that ecstatic presence that you are. To fall into it completely. Not to be timid, to do it wholeheartedly. Let's take a breath and just relax into that. Imagine that feeling. Imagine fusing every moment of your life with this ecstaticness, with this ecstasy. Ladinsky translates this poem in such a way that he's reminding us to be inspired by every moment, by everything, by totally embracing and falling into love with our lives. I fall into ecstasy. Say it together. I fall into ecstasy as I recognize the fullness of the divine. Just feel that for a moment. Many of us have been raised in traditions that taught us that the divine was some other place. that the divine was some being that we had to pray to, or love that was outside of ourselves. What if that being is who you are? What if we can love that being, that beloved so much, that that's how we show up in our lives, to be that presence? I think that's kind of the goal of our spiritual path, isn't it? To be so fully embracing the beloved that it is who we are. So I summarized all of the things that Rumi talked about in these 6 poems. So he reminds us to open ourselves to love and spiritual connection. Just kind of take your arms, I invite you, and just imagine that you are opening yourself to love and to spiritual connection that's everywhere. Just to show, wow, I'm letting it in. That is who I am. I can feel that I am that. And then to cultivate a passion and devotion for all things. What an amazing gift we have to be a spiritual being having a physical expression, aren't we? I mean, and so many people on the planet don't recognize this amazing gift that the beloved is as us, and that we can act out of that passion wherever we are, to be that passion, to be that love, to be that presence. So cultivate a passion and devotion for all things. And then he reminds us to see the divine in everything. What a perspective change, just to know that that divine presence is everywhere. Wherever you are, the divine is there. And then to dance with the vibration of love. I just love the ideas of Rumi dancing and doing the Sufi spinning. Can't you just feel that? To think that our life is a dance, right? And we get to show up every day in that dance. So how will you dance? Will you hold yourself tight and dance like a robot? Or will you be free and alive and sharing that and let go of all of the thoughts and all the tension and just be in the moment and dance? And then he says to recognize beauty and follow your inner callings. You know, when we're recognizing beauty everywhere, it's like the divine, the beloved, speaks as us, because it's like it in us is recognizing the beauty in everything. And it's like it brings that right to the surface. I don't think that you can be beholding the beauty and not be exemplifying the presence of the beloved. So just see that beauty everywhere. And then he reminds us in all of this just to fully embrace each moment. And we spend so much time talking about how can we be present in the moment, right now, all the time. And it's practice. So I invite you this week to find a Rumi poem. They're online if you don't have them in your books, and just to listen to them, to read them, to practice them, to be them, to let these words that are so magical and so beautiful. He uses such simple language, but it creates metaphors in our mind that change the way we think. So live ecstatically. Rumi gave us these practices to live in joy, to live in love, to be the light of the world, to be the love that's everywhere, to be the beloved. So I invite you to live more passionately this week, to be conscious of being present, to sit in the stillness, to notice nature, to notice how you are being in the world and see if you can turn up a little bit of your beloved volume and be that in everything that you do. I invite you to fall into ecstasy. Live ecstatically in each moment. I love this picture of Rumi just um, embracing all this amazing fruit and the beautifulness. And it reminds me of how we can live, to just appreciate everything and every moment. And practice it when you eat. Take small bites and taste them. Do you know that you have taste buds? So sometimes we eat so fast the food just goes right through us. But just to really savor, practice savoring every moment, everything, wherever you are, to look into the eyes and see the beloved in everyone. I fall into ecstasy as I experience the fullness of God. Let's say this together. I fall into ecstasy as I experience the fullness of God. And I'd like to invite Marianne up to give us a little heart, give us a little pre-meditation connection.
Before I put this on, I'd like to share a moment of ecstasy that I experienced. Many years ago, I was following the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, and I received Kriya Yoga. These are my Kriya beads, and I had a serious injury in my arm where I had no movement. And the moment I received Kriya Yoga, I got 3 or 4 inches of movement in my arm, and I felt this bliss and ecstasy. I'm feeling it right now. So thank you for bringing that back. This is a song that I think you'll enjoy. It's from a Sufi poem. I think it's Hafiz, but
I invite you to close your eyes, to take a few really deep, soft breaths. Breathing in into the fullness of your ecstatic self. Breathing in and gently breathing out. Come, drop your heavy load. Cast off those cloaks of worry. Shed the guises you wear to please others. And be as you are. Breathe deep. Breathing in and breathing out. Relaxing into this moment. Breathe deep. Let the tight knots of thinking unwind. Feel the glow of your heart emerging. A shining candle held out to the night. You need not wander far. The beloved dwells inside. Turn within. Awaken to harmony beyond walls built by fear. Listen. Can you hear the music woven into your every breath? Each moment alive with beauty. If you pause to hear life's song, dance. Dance then if you must. Whirl with joyful abandon. Let ecstasy rush in like the ocean returning home. Do not merely stand on the shore. Wade in. Merge with love's waves. For there, immersed, you remember that you were never apart. Celebrate each instant. Give thanks for this dance to know life. In your gladness, the divine delights. This world is parched for your smile. Do not hold back one tear, one laugh, one verse longing to flow free. You are the instrument. Let love's rhythm move you. Oh, what bliss in surrender. What peace in realizing each burden. Falling into the infinite. We rise, luminous in our shared belonging.
In thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. Think ye in thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. If you want to cross the ocean of delusion, if you want to cross the ocean of delusion, shaming the white lotus in purity, shaming the white lotus in purity, beyond all duality. Guru, image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Guru, image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Think ye in thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. Think ye in thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. If you want to cross the ocean of delusion, if you want to cross the ocean of delusion.
When you call it forward, it shows up. If Robin was here, she'd say, okay, transition time. All right, so I invite you at this time to prepare your love offerings. And as you hold them and bring them forward to, think of the giving of this gift as a beginning of an ecstatic time in your life, right? That think that you are, as you are giving ecstatically, you are affirming that your connection with the beloved is an ecstatic one. And I know that as we give, we open ourselves up to receive. And I'm all about receiving some more ecstaticness. How about you? Are you ready to have some of that, to feel some of that? So as you give in love from this ecstatic beingness that you are, know and affirm that this is returning to you in an ecstatic way. So as we hold our gifts, let's pray and affirm our affirmation of prosperity as we say it together. Together. Through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Namaste. Let's hear it again from Marlene. Or not from Marlene, for Marianne. Marlene too, yes. Thank you, Marianne. You are amazing. Can't wait for you to come back in December with Ames, her husband, will be back and bring their multi-talent that's going to be with us all the way through Christmas, and we're just going to have a blast. We're planning our Christmas Eve service right at this moment. It's going to be wild. Speaking of wild, it's announcement time, and here's Rumi juggling a bunch of light, as we all do every day. And just a few announcements today. Today's flowers are offered by Lindy right here. Thank you. Her name is, you can see how it's pronounced or spelled up there, and because I struggled so much with it, she says, you can just call me Lindy. So there we go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your gift to us today. And if you would like to bring flowers some Sunday, you can do that also. There's a sign-up sheet on the back. Just pick a date, put your name down, and if you'd like us to dedicate those flowers to someone, we can do that. Oh, and you want to dedicate these flowers, Lindy, to in celebration of your godchild's Diana's birthday, is it? It's her 50th birthday. Wow. Uh-huh. Well, we're glad that you're here. Thank you. So anyway, sign-up sheet in the back if you'd like to bring flowers some Sunday. And also today I'm offering a new member class to anyone who would like to join Unity on Maui, become a member. There's an assortment of benefits that you get. First of all, we put you in our membership list, and that's a big thing, let me tell you. And I like to think of when you join Unity on Maui, what you are joining is with a bunch of friends, a bunch of people who hold you in light and love you, and celebrate your spiritual journey with you and encourage you on that journey. And I like to think of it too as it's making a commitment to your own spiritual transformation and saying, to yourself, to the beloved that you are, this is important to me. I'm committed to connecting with the essence within me and living a life of the beloved. So, an ecstasy, yes, and you get a 10% more ecstasy by joining Unity on Maui. Right. Guaranteed. I guarantee it. And Prashanti continues to have her weekly Kundalini talk and meditation on Tuesdays from 6 to 7:15 right here. It's free, but they ask for a $10, $15 donation. And you can just show up for that. And also Carrie's offering a sound bowl meditation on November 11th from 4 to 5 p.m. That's a Saturday, right here in our lovely sanctuary. You can bring a mat or you can sit in a chair, and she calls it a sound bath. I love that, just to be in meditation and just be in that presence of sound and to go deep within yourself. And if you enjoyed my talk today, it's a bonus talk today. You get 2 pages where I have written the poems I read today in blue, and my description is also there, so you can check that out and to remember what we talked about today, as well as what each poem means to us and how we can apply it to our lives. And then I'm really excited about this. I've always kind of resonated with Hafiz being kind of like-minded to me. And if you've read much Hafiz, you might be able to draw that similarity. He was kind of bawdy and eccentric and kind of took a lot of chances. And he talks about going to the tavern with his buddies and recognizing the presence of God in the tavern. And so in this talk titled Hafiz and the Mischievous Beloved, we're going to look from his perspective at the joy and the fun and the outrageousness of the beloved in perhaps a way that you've never experienced it before. And so come next week and let's have some fun at God's expense. And hopefully that expense will be moving through us as joy and laughter and fun. So I think it'll be at God's pleasure. I think you're right. It'll be at God's pleasure. Yeah. Yeah. God, the beloved, is going to have a good time with us next week. Well, did y'all have a good time today? Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we stand up and we'll pray the prayer for protection, and then we'll join hands and make a big circle around the perimeter and sing the peace song together. But let's begin by saying the prayer for protection. Here you go. Ready? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
Where I